Fantas! Welcome back to another episode of Kenan Kel with Adam and Aaron. I'm your host, Adam.
And I'm your other host, Aaron.
We're back with another pulse-pounding episode of Kenan Kel Season 2. This one's episode 7, Ditch Day Afternoon.
Yes, we enter Kenan Kel's place of education, and we don't stay there for too long because we have other plans when Kenan and Kel are pinned with an assignment that's unfavorable. So it's cool. We get to see a couple different aspects of their lives. We get to see a couple different sets in this episode and a lot of good storylines. So they all kind of come together, which is really fun.
Yeah, it's good that for like the last episode that we had, A Star Is Peeved, was just like the one story. So it's good to see the show would like kind of shift gears into a multi-layered one so quickly and, you know, handle it so well.
Yeah, multi-layered is good. I felt engaged the whole time. I didn't feel like it was work watching the episode like it did when we watched when we did the one good. Previously. Yeah,
the show should never be work.
No. This one was fun.
Awesome. So without further ado, let's get into your Dan Carlin style intro. You know the best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and the bees. I need money. That's what I want. Oh yeah. That's what I want. That's what I want. Those are famous words recited through the ages by the Beatles, Jerry Lee Lewis, and the Sonics regarding the object that makes the world go round. No, not external torque from the sun, moon, and other celestial bodies. Money. Green, coin, moolah, dosh, bacon, cabbage, cheddar, beans, and gravy with a side of milk. That paper, that scratch, cold, hard cash. Money has taken many names and shapes over the ages. Before the Founding Fathers had their faces in our pockets, currency consisted of gold, silver, rings, stones, knives, and even cocoa beans. When ancient Babylonians couldn't pay now, they would exchange grain as collateral within a barter system. Thus, the first letters ever written were I-O-U. The deposit and withdrawal system grew over time until they manifested into what we call banks. Now synonymous with the money they house, banks conduct business every workday. Except for the day that you go, because it's Veterans Day, and the Federal Reserve can't work at the same time as the rest of the country, for some reason. This is as true today as it was one Friday morning at the Fleeting Bank in 1997's Chicago, Illinois, where two Chicago youths, Kenan Rockmore and Kel Kimball, were set to withdraw more trouble. Did they complete their transaction? Let's just say you can take that to the bank. Let's get into it. We start off with some very safe outfits for Kenan and Kel.
Yeah, safe is good.
Nothing like that blows you out of the water.
Nope. They're nice. Kel's got his suede blue shirt or felt blue shirt, whatever it is, and jeans. Kenan's got a white and dark brown and light brown camo polo covered by a brown
like
jacket,
an overcoat.
Yeah, brown overcoat. And some white pants, so they look nice.
Yeah, I flagged something here that I think we're going to be paying attention to later as the episode goes on, is that Kel, it seemed to get like a little bit more applause than Kenan in this intro.
I noticed that as well.
Yeah, Kenan starts to get kind of like sarcastic about it, especially towards the end of the show. He's like, oh, wow, everyone loves Kel.
Yeah.
Before we go much further, I do want to say that while I've been sipping on this delicious orange Zevia, I was thinking that you know what? It's not quite the same thing. Number one, orange Zevia has not yet given us a sponsorship. But number two, I discovered this between episodes. It's not orange.
Oh,
it does that Zevia thing where like you pour it into a glass and it's colorless.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was I feel so incorrect.
You thought you were drinking something that was orange and it was clear?
Yeah, I was mistaken.
You were duped by the Zevia genius.
You know, enough of this catering to Zevia and A-Treat and Crush. I want the real orange soda. And I think that's something I can accomplish on throughout the course of the show. So
what are you suggesting?
I did my homework, and I discovered that the classic 2-liter orange soda that Kel totes in the series has the icon of a black logo with a white lion on it. And this is none other than the logo for the Food Lion industry, who is currently discontinued in Florida, but they have some in the north, in like Virginia. They have a couple, some places where you can purchase groceries, and including orange soda. So my current goal for the podcast, besides finishing the podcast, is getting to Food Lion and getting the real Kenan and Kel orange soda.
Well, Adam, I will have to cheer you on while you do that, and I don't think I'll be taking a trip. Although, if we go to Virginia, we might want to stop by our friends over in Danville, who are serious listeners of the show.
Maybe that's where like it's a Food Lion country.
Maybe they're waiting for us to shout them out.
Yeah,
they've been listening this whole time, waiting for us to figure it out. Food Lion, if you're listening. Thank you.
Please sponsor us.
Please sponsor us.
It doesn't require. I just want one. I just want one case
just
of orange soda.
Just send us some. That's enough for us.
Yeah, and just sign the card. We love you.
That would be something else. Food Lion. Nice homework, Adam. Nice job digging up that stuff. What did you search on Google? white, black, orange soda label. 90s.
Other people have put it together before, but it was kind of hidden information what the brand was.
Kenan Kel soda brand.
Pretty much. Okay, so normally on an episode of Kenan and Kel, they get into all kinds of adventures, peculiar situations, hazardous waste, as Kenan starts listing, right?
Yep. Kenan's listing what's in a normal Kenan and Kel episode, kind of, and hazardous waste, corn on the cob, chicken and pig titlets or something.
I wrote rib tips.
Rib tips.
Neither are real parts of meat.
Well, yeah, okay. But anyways, basically, Kel's like, nope, we are not doing any of that. We're not getting in any trouble tonight. We are not doing some other things, but he emphasizes not having any trouble. No trouble.
Who told you all that nonsense, Fluffy?
Kenan keeps on throwing the nicknames out at Kel. Fluffy is one of them this episode. We'll see another one in a little bit. But, yep.
Yeah.
Kel is basically... Kel's like, no, hey, hold on. I have this new contract that says I'm not going to get into any trouble. Look at it. So he pulls out his piece of paper and he shows Kenan.
And Kenan says, don't we want the show to be funny, baby? To which Kel replies by shouting, "No!"
Yep. Kenan's like, we need mischievous things to happen if we want the show to be funny. Which is a good argument. I mean, Kenan knows what's up. He
knows that without Kel's being upset, there would not be a show.
Well, actually, I think if Kel just put on some music and started dancing, I feel like people would watch and be pretty satisfied. So I don't know if Kenan's logic holds up here.
That's true. But anyway, so didn't Kel one time star on a season of Dancing with the Stars?
Oh, of course, yeah. Kel Mitchell,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
I think he won, or maybe not.
I think got close. Maybe runner-up.
Well, he's a pretty fantastic dancer. So, anyways, Kenan calls over Herschel, who's the stagehand, and he asks him to bring a balloon. And so what Kenan does is he attaches Kel's contract that says he can't get into any trouble to this balloon and sets it afloat.
Yeah, he has a fun back and forth with the Virgil. He's like, thank you. And then he just says, no, thank you. But yeah, no, he lets it go up very slowly, taking his time to attach it. But Kel is heartbroken that his contract is no more.
It is still in existence. It just doesn't. I was watching an episode of It's Always Sunny recently, and I forget. I think it's Dee is talking about her contract that says that she owns 100% of the merchandising, but they don't have any, and so they're like trying to get some. She's like, "Oh, great! I'll finally get some money." And then Mac just takes it and eats it. And somebody's like, "Oh, that's okay. That wasn't your only copy, was it?" She's like, "What?" I thought of that here.
Kel's reaction to losing the contract is pretty great because as Kenan ties that up, he says, "My mom had to type that."
Yeah, he's trying desperately to hold on to the contract, but the contract floats away, and Kenan basically begins their endeavor into this fun-filled, trouble-filled episode.
Time for wackiness. Come on, fluffy stuff.
This is go-to. This is go-to in this intro.
3 nicknames in this one intro. And I also like how Kenan walks away because they're really having fun with like this intro bit. Like the staples are there, Kenan leaves, but in this one, Kenan like stands in front of the stage, like doesn't move for a minute, and then just walks forward.
Yep. And then Kel does his aww and starts to do a little dance like he did that one episode that was so fun.
Yeah, it starts off great.
Starts off very good, very good. Yeah, so we are brought to our first scene, which is a classroom that we haven't seen before.
No, a new set.
Yeah, a new set. So they have the classic desks that with the tables attached to those blue chairs.
Very small desks, as we'll soon discover.
Yep, it looks like looks like a Spanish classroom because it has all this like ponchos and sombreros and Mexican flag and
they're just draping everything. They're like covering.
They
the
got
TV
all the Hispanic Latino props they could get.
Yes, and we introduced to the teacher, whose name is Miss Queso,
which is just outstanding. She's my favorite character this episode, and there's a lot of good characters.
Oh, there are. Yeah, she wants to start off class by teaching them how to order Chinese food in Spanish.
It's just the whole Spanish class, like all the assignments she's having them do, and all the things they're learning, they're all just jokes, which it maybe is symbolic for how like languages are taught in high school. It's very hard to teach high schoolers a language they don't want to learn.
It's also like, what are you going to learn in high school? Like, you're going to learn a couple sentences and some words. It's a whole language.
Right. Well, I think they try to do too much content. I wish they just stuck with the basics and like drilled them in, because then you'll never forget how to say, "Hi, how are you doing?" It's like, it's a nice day today, but we just do
a practical Spanish and language.
We do have to like Spanish 4 and start learning like how to say my textbook is on fire. It's like, I will forget this. This will not matter.
So Kel arrives late into class, and we discover that reason is because he was getting Kenan his Spintendo.
Yes, his portable video game device that is, as we quickly find out from Janet. Did Janet make an entrance yet?
Yeah, she was in the Paint episode.
So Janet, here's Miss Goody Two Shoes Janet, and she basically is
picture a Janet. That's her.
Well, actually, Spintendos and video games are against school policy.
Yeah, I'm Janet, which is Kenan's usual response.
Earlier in this scene, Kenan, she basically asks Kenan if he did the homework, or if he did the homework, or his mom was too busy to help him, and he just calls her Stinky.
I don't know if he has any good comebacks to Janet.
Never.
But Janet doesn't have like good like forward backs to begin with.
No.
Miss Queso starts questioning Kenan, and Kenan says, "No habla inglés."
Yep.
In response.
Basically, Kenan and Kel pester Miss Queso enough. She gets frustrated and says that they have to sing a Spanish song for the class on Friday.
Yes. Kenan objects and he stands up.
And this is the best. He stands up and the desk comes with him. So it's just like the chair.
Yeah, he's wearing it like as a skirt.
The chair's behind him. The desk is like hinged in front of him.
It's really good physical comedy.
It's my favorite. It's so good. I don't know if that was like a prop desk or that was actually like how he sat at those desks.
Yeah, well, Kenan's like, I think like 1920 by now. So he's not made for these, like, school desk anymore.
Right.
But yeah, no, he starts pleading with Miss Queso because Friday's a half day and should be fun, but she is insistent.
And Janet says, of course, that'll be fun, listening to you sing.
Oh, Janet, you'll get your comeuppance, maybe.
Anyways, we have a little sombrero transition, and that's the end of the scene. We go to Rigby's, and we find Kenan a little bit upset that he has to sing to the class on Friday.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Kel is ecstatic.
Yeah, he walks in with a stereo, like the good old days. Boombox. And he puts it on the counter, and he's like, Kenan, I found a song for us to dance to. So he plays it, and it's, like classic, like Mexican, like Mexican heritage song. And he just starts like dancing in the middle of Rigby's. And the crowd loves it, of course.
It's a really just fun, innocent scene, too, because even though Kenan doesn't like it, he'll, like, after he sees Kel's infectious dancing, he joins him.
Yeah, so they both join along for this dancing.
And he breaks out a pair of castanets. Those little, like, clappy things.
Is that what they're called? Yeah. So anyways, they're having a great time. They're just dancing to this Latin music. And then Chris comes out. This is at the beginning of this scene. Chris came out, and he put a box of fish tarts on the counter, asked Kenan to put them on the shelf. And now he comes out, and he's furious. He looks furious that they're dancing. So he turns off the boombox, and he says,
"What's all the hullabaloo?"
Hullabaloo.
Yep. So we get that out of the way, and Chris is more annoyed than usual because Friday is inventory day.
He has to count every single item in the store. It's going to take him all day.
Yes. And unfortunately, and Kenan says, "Oh man, I wish I could help you, but I got school."
And then Kel reminds Kenan and Chris that there's a half day on Friday. Kenan could definitely come in to help with work.
Yeah, so Kenan gets mad. Chris insists that it comes in at noon, right?
Yep.
And Kenan says, "Thanks a lot, amigo." De nada.
Yeah, Kel says, de nada. And we have a castanet transition to our next scene. So already we're just into the episode. We have two scenes in the first, 4 or 5 minutes. And it's moving at a pretty good pace, I would say.
Really good pace, and each scene like raises the stakes a little bit more.
It builds on it, and the fun thing is like it's just like very relatable stuff. You have to give a presentation, something that seems like it's gonna be embarrassing in front of your class, and you also have to go into work and do inventory when you're just a kid on a Friday night, and you just want to hang out and you have to go into work, and so. In this next scene, they're in the kitchen, and Kenan is, like, upset by this.
He says it's going to be the worst day ever, according to him.
Oh, he says, "Oh, my heart. A boy shouldn't have this much stress in his life."
He calls Kel Urkel at one point.
Yep, that was another good nickname. Yep.
But, yeah, I also want to note, do you see what Kenan's eating in this scene?
Chips.
Not just any chips. Specifically, it's a bag of Doritos, but more specifically than that, it's a bag of Loritos. The logo has been adjusted slightly so that the nacho cheese Loritos are not infringing on any copyrights.
Wonderful. Nice catch, Adam.
Thanks. Kel's also eating some spin on Funyuns. And he's also got a Gatorade out as well.
I'm sorry. It's Funyuns, Adam.
Funyuns? Oh, yes. Well, I don't know what it is. I didn't see the... Maybe that's what it's called. I'm sure it has another joke name on the bag,
Funyuns. Probably, yeah. For the diehard fans like us, looking for these little continuity blips.
Kel has a bottle of orange soda drink and a Gatorade for some reason. He's
gotta
really...
keep the electrolytes up.
Yeah.
I'm watching a lot of these survival shows, and everybody's always, "Oh, my leg's cramping. Why is my leg cramping?" Me with all my vast knowledge of the human body. I'm just like, you need electrolytes. And then the narrator comes on like, the human body without electrolytes will start to cramp. like, guys, come on. Duh. Okay, anyways.
As Kenan laments his day, Kyra shows up, right?
Yep, and she starts coughing, and she's opening the fridge, trying to get something. She says she feels funny. Her mom comes in, and she coughs right in her mom's face.
Yep, now what you should not do in this day and age.
No.
Keep your coughs to yourself, wear a mask. Cheryl sends Kyra directly to her room, no more school for the rest of the week.
We don't know what day of the week it is, but
Early in the week, yeah.
It seems like it's early in the week.
And Kenan gets a very devious look on his face.
He starts licking his fingers of all the nacho cheese, and as Cheryl walks away, Kenan sits next to Kel and unveils his master plan.
Oh, and Kel says, last time you had a plan like this, I ended up butt naked in a zoo.
Yep. And Kenan's like, I never have heard a giraffe laugh before.
So we cut to Friday morning. And again, great pace. Like, so much has happened before this commercial break.
Yeah, it is a good pace. I didn't even realize in my notes that it was Friday morning. Yeah, but exactly. It's Friday morning, and Kenan is drafting a message.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, it's a pretty good plan. This is one of Kenan's best plans.
I mean, it's silly. It's a good plan. What he writes is silly. I wish he was more realistic.
I think it's silly but clever. So Kel shows up. He's like, time to go to school. And Kenan's like, no, we're ditching. So he reads his note, which describes that Kenan has an earache. So please don't call because it would irritate his ear further. Signed, Roger.
Hugs and kisses, Roger.
Hugs and kisses. Then he adds an addendum onto it that Kel is currently suffering from what?
An infected tongue.
Yes.
And then we get a little bit of the 90s coming into play here. Something that you would only see in a time capsule. Like, this is a moment in history. A knock on the door. It is the Turtle Messenger service that Kenan had called to deliver a message to his school.
Yes. It's and the delivery man is a real surfer dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he gives him the message to deliver to room 33 at Capone High School.
And he goes, Capone, I went to Capone. Are you guys ditching school?
Now I'm a messenger.
Yeah, no, he says, I ditched school a lot. Now I'm a messenger. And then he walks away with all this pride.
Yeah, so yeah, Kenan's like, shh, be quiet. We're not, no one's supposed to know. And then he delivers the message, and to continue to to weave his wonderful trap, what does Kenan do?
He calls Chris, fakes a sick voice, says that he won't be able to come in to help him count every item in the store, and then Roger starts to walk downstairs, and Kenan quickly says goodbye to Chris, and so long.
Okay, so this is something that that would only be captured on this show, but I noticed that Kenan dials 7 numbers when he picks up the phone, and the middle 3 numbers are the same. So in my brain, that's. Did you know about this 555 thing in TV telephone numbers?
Yeah.
For anyone in the audience that isn't familiar, on TV and movies and stuff like that, they'll often use the 555 area code in the middle of a number to designate a fake phone number. That's because any real combination numbers could be someone's actual phone. So making a 555 kind of blanks it out. So I thought it was interesting that we don't see what Kenan's dialing, but it might be 555 in the middle there.
I think he's just kind of playing along. I think he's just kind of like pressing buttons. I don't think it's a TV show, Adam. I don't think he's actually calling anybody.
The different numbers of different tones is all I'm saying. And there were several different tones.
We don't even hear Chris on the other line. Like he's
No,
definitely not calling anybody. It's definitely not a real phone in the middle of the set.
Okay,
nice try.
I'm just saying.
Okay, nice try. But and I thought you were gonna say like he didn't put.
My goal is to call Rigby's. Okay, you want me to say it? I want to call the Rigby's number.
Listen, there's no way that's still connected. It's been 24 years. 23 years.
Yeah, so Roger comes down and tells him, you guys better get off to school.
And Kel's like, oh, we're not going to school or something like that. But like as he's saying that, Kenan pushes him out the door, and there's like the loudest. Kel goes like, ah! He's just like falling down the railing or hitting trash cans and just like
it's like a 10-second scream,
like thrown overboard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's really fun.
But yeah, they just all the physical comedy is like dialed up a notch in this episode. Mm-hmm. We head back to Miss Queso's class,
and she is teaching everybody why French people don't speak Spanish.
So the messenger dude shows up, and he's like, and he explains, like, he passed off the note, and he says, "They're sick,"
with quotes around it,
using physical air quotes. She reads it, and it is a gasp at the horror of an infected tongue.
Yeah, people got these tongue scrapers nowadays. Have you seen them?
Yeah, I know of them.
They're pretty awful looking. Torture device. Anyways, so we head to the bank. So
Kenan's plan, as he describes, he needs to get some cash from the bank. Then where are they headed?
I don't know if I got this part, honestly.
Oh. He wanted to get some cash from the bank. Then they're headed to the arcade. Then to the movie theater to watch Pork Chop Massacre.
Okay, I did get Pork Chop Massacre. Yep.
It doesn't sound like a good movie.
No. All of this is making me wonder, like, why, like, Kyra was sick. Why didn't they just pretend to be sick? And they got it from her. Like, that would have been solved all their problems. But they just, like, made up these fake things. Or
they could have, like, literally gotten sick from her.
Yeah,
right?
They could have just like faked a sickness from her and then stayed home, and then they wouldn't have to lie to everybody.
Oh no, Kenan goes big with his lies. Not only does he want to skip school, he wants to have a great day instead.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man, come on, what are you doing?
Yeah, Kel's nervous that something's gonna go wrong.
In walks two robbers.
Yep. And as they walk up, the security guard faints.
He's just totally stunned. Anything remarkable happened at his job.
Yeah, and bam, we're off to the pitch of the episode is here.
We are off to the races, Adam. Here we are halfway through the episode, and it's just getting good. The two robbers are wearing, their coats with their black beanies, no face masks at all, right?
Yeah, right.
Nothing. They're just visible for the world to see. They direct everybody in the bank to go over in the corner, and Kenan and Kel are like standing kind of near the door, and so Kenan says out loud, like, "Oh, we got to be going right now. Have a nice robbery," or something like that. Yeah,
and he says to Kenan, "In the corner, coffee mug."
Did he call him that?
Yeah, another classic Kenan Kel nonsense nickname.
Yeah, but my favorite part about that was Kenan like said that out loud. Like they didn't just run out the door. He's like, okay, well, we will. Good luck with everything.
Yeah, they're really talking out with the robbers, unarmed robbers, by the way.
Yes, unarmed, very, very menacing.
It's great because they all go to the corner, and Kel is tasked with gathering up the cash, right?
Yep.
And he suggests to the robbers Kel really does awesome in the second half of the episode. He said just to the robbers, "Hey, should I get all these people's like wallets and jewelry and stuff?"
And everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And the robber's like, yeah, that's a good idea." It's so it's now Kenan's job to do that as Kel starts to collect the cash from behind the counter.
And they're like, "What's the problem with your friend, man?"
And he's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
He was like, he's traumatized by the robbery. And Kel is already off to a great, like, another bit.
So he stacked up all these like single bills onto the counter. You know, like when you go to the bank, there's like the high shelf, and then like the high whatever, and then there's the counter that drops down. And anyway, so he puts all this cash on the counter, and he's just like, "Man, it's pretty hot in here." Like,
well, first he says, "All right, I'm gonna separate this into 2 even stacks. I don't want one of you guys to get ripped off."
And so he does. And then he starts complaining about how he's hot. So he turns around, and there's a big fan right there.
Yep. And so he clicks it on, starts to really gets into that cool air. And, of course, those bills get into the cool breeze.
Yep. And the bills start flying everywhere, all over the bank. The robbers very non-menacingly run over and try to like kind of collect it with their arms as it's starting to blow away, and then they slip and fall on the like loose dollar bills, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole mess.
Then sirens outside. The cops have arrived.
Oh crud, the cops are here.
Yeah, Kenan suggests that, like, "Oh well, let's head on out then."
And so Kel starts making his way outside.
The robber shouts at that Kenan, "Close your trap!" To which Kenan, for the first time, says, "Well." The new catchphrase on the show. And, actually, this is the commercial break.
Oh, wow.
We got this far in the episode before, like, things get... I don't know if it's, like, 50-50. It might be, like, 60-40 with where that break is.
Right. Another catchphrase, not in this show, but this episode, is Kel keeps saying, repeating, "We should have gone to school."
Yes.
You know, because I mean, if we zoom out for a second, it's like, here was this beautiful plan, and they are now in a serious predicament. There's bank robbers. There's sirens outside. There's cops showing up. Their ditch day plan is not going as planned.
No, and it's perfect escalation, and we're only at the halfway point. That's the best part. We come back from the commercial break, and we see inside the Rockmore household. Kyra is sick on the couch, and she wants ice cream to help her out.
And then Kyra, who's watching the news, hears, along with Mr. and Mrs. Rockmore, that there's a standoff with robbers at the fleeting bank.
And Roger goes to get the popcorn, because he knows a good show when he sees it.
Exactly. So he goes and gets the popcorn, and then we switch over to Spanish class, and there's Miss Queso with this bank robbery on her TV in the middle of Spanish class.
Yeah, right. How long is Spanish class?
Well, I guess this is like pre 9/11. Like you just put anything interesting was on, right?
It's also a half day too. Like, how long are they in Spanish class?
Spanish class for a while. Anyways, on the TV, the announcer says, "Then they have hostages inside." Well, we zoom over to the students, and the messenger is still there.
He's sitting like Kel's seat.
Sitting in Kel's seat. He goes, "Hostages kind of rhymes with sausages." And Miss Queso says, "Why are you still here?" It's just really, like, this might be my favorite dynamic so far in Kenan. Like, the dynamic between Miss Queso and the turtle messenger service man.
Yeah, I love. He just hangs out with them for a bit.
Just hanging out. Like, in what world could a random stranger walk into a high school and deliver a note to a specific room?
Yeah, no, I like it too because I think in a lesser episode we just see like a Miss Queso and Janet get like get being upset in that room, but it doesn't pull any punches.
Also, is that the only class they have in school? Like, why did that message just go?
Yeah, you're right.
Is it because they had a project?
Maybe that's got to be it. They only had like Spanish class that day.
The half day.
That's the only way. That only explains why everyone's paying attention to all that.
That'd be a super effective way to do high school. Let me just say, like, why don't we just have like 2 classes a day, and then have
like your grad school
like
setup?
Or like in college. Like, why do we have 6 classes a day, or even 7 classes a day every single day with 40 to 45-minute sections?
Yeah, is that the most effective way to learn something?
No, it's ridiculous. Give us like a block schedule, please. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I could go on forever. Sorry.
Well, back at the bank, Kel takes the security guard's handcuffs.
Oh, this is so good.
It's amazing. He just because he can't be left alone for too long because he'll just play with whatever's near him and make a huge mess out of it.
This is so good.
Kenan learns that the news camera's there, and his plan has suddenly changed. Instead of he doesn't want to leave, he has to we gotta wait this out. But yeah, no. Kel handcuffs his left foot to his right hand.
His ankle to his wrist. Yep.
Yeah.
He's just like kind of playing with it. He puts it on his foot, and then he puts it on his hand. And it's one of those like he like freezes, realizes what he's done.
Uh-oh. And him freaking out gets the robber's attention.
Yeah. And so the robber's like, "Hey, you, come over here."
And he says, "Now's not a good time."
He's like, "Get over here now." And so Kel stands up on his one leg, barely, and is clumsily like somehow
hopping and sliding and
making like going back and forth and making his way back over. He knocks down all the railings, like with the ribbon,
the cue poles. He's knocking over everything. He's like sliding and crawling and squirming, and he loses his hat. Best Kel slapstick to date.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
By the time he gets over there, he's like climbing on top of them, knocking over signs, just everything, total destruction. And he says, "Sorry, I got all discombobulated."
They're like asking him what's wrong.
Yeah, and
I got all discombobulated, and then the robbers go discombobulated. And I like this because I think they went to another commercial break. Yeah, so like that was like a really funny moment because like somebody else did their joke, and they just kind of like kept rolling with it. They didn't like make it a big thing.
It's just part of the vernacular of this world, I guess.
The Dan Schneider universe. Emphasis.
No, it's great when other people do it too.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
And to keep up with the great jokes, we go to Rigby's, and there didn't need to be a joke here, but Chris is counting potatoes, and he does so the only way that you know how. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4.
You almost didn't he do this before too?
No, I think this is the first time. It's got to be.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Speaking of recurring gags, Dave, the delivery guy, shows up. and this season he's got a uniform and everything. It says 2 Ds for Dave's deliveries, presumably. I love his delivery in this bit.
It's really good.
It's super dry. I think I'm going to put it in here because we certainly can't capture it.
No, yeah, put it in.
Chris goes behind the counter and pulls out a little pocket TV.
Yeah, those things were the best. I used to have one in my room. It was like a little 3x3 TV, or
yeah, I remember that
5x5.
TV.
Yeah, You
It
pull
worked
out.
as long as what antennas worked.
Those were the days when all you needed was an antenna.
Remember when Dad had even smaller TV?
Oh yeah.
It was it was an antenna one like that, but it was like maybe the size of an iPhone. Oh, not the thickness. It was like the size of a phone, but you like crank it and you can watch TV.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. People were ingenious. The human spirit cannot be quenched by the limits of technology. Yeah, so this delivery guy is fantastic. He steals the show. Like we didn't need another great character in this episode, but here he is. He's questioning why Chris is doing all the work and where Kenan is, and he like knows the people at the store, and he alerts Chris of the hostages, and it brings the whole like Rigby's universe into this story. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, so back at the bank, things are escalating. The cops are shouting to them on the megaphone. They're shouting, "Release the hostages, and we won't beat you."
And the robbers start to get worried. They're like, oh, maybe we should just kind of, maybe we should just turn ourselves in. And Kenan yells, "Don't just give up!" He's like,
don't release us. And everyone else is mad at him.
Yeah, he's like, and then he's like, no, let me explain. He's going over, and he's like trying to get them to not give up. He's like cheering them on, like giving them a pep talk, like, guys, you can do this.
He's got an even better pep talk later. We'll get to that. But yeah, he eventually convinces them. He's like, "Hey, let all these other hostages go, but keep us to show you that you mean business."
Yeah. Yep. And they're like, "Oh, that's a pretty good idea." And so that's what happens. And on the TV, the story becomes, right, the reporter is saying, 2 young teenagers have risked their lives to save the rest of the hostages.
Yeah. I do want to say that when the hostages leave, they like bowl over Kenan and the
Oh
robbers.
yeah, they throw their arms up and like just like run out all like willy-nilly.
Which is crazy, because if they just dogpiled on the robbers, like this whole situation would be over.
Somebody could have just thrown one punch, it would have been over.
Yeah.
Oh my, you know what's funny? The one robber has a stopwatch. That's like his like intimidation device. It's like, I know how long
maybe it's like
I've
a
been
gym
in
coach.
here. Yeah, right. Gym coach gone bad.
That's the story that's being broadcast all throughout Chicago. It's happening as well in the Spanish classroom. Yeah. Once again, Miss Queso asked the messenger guy, "Why are you still here?"
Yep.
And his reply to that is, "Whoa, easy there, Aunt B."
Which makes you think, is that his aunt?
Well, I was thinking more like this guy like lives in his aunt's basement or something like that, and his aunt is constantly asking, "Why are you still here?"
so he's like, "Hey, who are you, my Aunt B?" Like she knows who that is.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking.
I like that. That's much better.
But yeah, in the Rockmore household, like they got their popcorn, they're watching that, and
So, like, Mrs. Rockmore is like, "Wow, those boys must be so brave, risking their lives." And then Roger says, more like life-risking idiots, or something like that. Like, very, with much disdain, looking on these people who are trying to selflessly risk their lives, but it's actually stupid.
yeah, but she's happy that Kyra's here and Kenan is safe in school. Meanwhile, back at the bank,
We should have gone to school.
if you say that one more time, that's Kenan's reply. And when he says that, he like raises up the stapler, like he's gonna staple him.
Bash him. Yeah. And so now it's time for the robbers to give the police their list of demands. They've been again drafting it, right? And then the one walks over and opens the door and starts yelling at the police.
And their demands make you realize that these aren't if you haven't caught on by now, these aren't the brightest robbers.
They don't know what's happening. They don't have a plan.
So what are their demands?
$1 million in marked bills, $1 million in unmarked bills. And then he runs out of ideas. He runs out of things to say, so he turns to his buddy who's across the bank, and he says, "What else?" He's like, "A car. A car? What else? A helicopter. A helicopter. What else? Orange soda. Orange. Oh, wait. Why do we want orange soda?
And Kel is like, does his thing. Because I love orange soda. To which one of the robbers asks, is that true?
It's like, it's a layup.
But speaking of layup, Kel, in like begging for orange soda, hops across the bank again. He's handcuffed for the rest of this episode. I think it's worth mentioning.
Yep.
And he hops across, and it's very talented. I gotta say. I would be pulling something if I was in that pose that he is in.
I feel like he practiced a few times.
Yeah, but he's just like, come on, orange soda. Come on, orange soda.
Yeah, and some orange soda.
I do, ooh. And that prompts the guy to like kind of grab him and to almost strangle Kel.
Yep.
And Kenan explains Kel's actions once again I think what might be a secret origin of Kel's.
Yeah, Kel was dropped on his head many times as a child.
Many times. So that could very well be it. Kel agrees.
Yep, Kel says it happened. Meanwhile, the robbers are just about to give up, even though they just gave their list of demands.
Yeah, but Kenan rouses them with
a Rudy style speech.
Yeah. So he says, "You just gotta let." He looks out the window.
This is so good.
A few hundred cops stand between you and your goal.
All that hard work and planning, you're just gonna give up? Would Michael Jordan quit in the middle of a game?
Would a fat man quit in the middle of a lasagna?
Would George Washington stop if his cherry tree was, what was it, uprooted and moved to New Zealand?
Was kidnapped and taken to New Zealand?
Kidnapped.
To which Cal says, New Zealand? Don't stop me, man. I'm on a roll.
He goes, don't stop me. I'm on a roll. Oh, my. It is. I want to record this and listen to it before I teach. And just like, would Michael Jordan quit?
Yeah, it's really good. But so that the robber, he says, what do you say? And he puts his hand in. And the robbers look at each other, look at him, says, you're crazy. And they run out the door.
Yep, they give themselves up.
Kenan says to Kel, come on, Kel, we gotta run. And they try to make it to the other end of the bank, but they are not in time. The news ambushes them.
Yep, so while all the meanwhile on the TVs we've heard like, and the robbers are giving themselves up. And then the Rock Boys are like, oh, just when it was getting good. And then they're like, okay, let's see who the young...
Let's meet the brave heroes.
Let's meet the brave heroes. So they're running away, and the TV people come in, and the reporter comes in, and there's...
chaos ensues.
There's Kel on one leg, and there's Kenan, like, trying to hide his face. And
yeah, let's go around town and see the reactions.
This is the best. Around town is exactly. So in the Rockmore household,
Roger stands up and full body faints.
All the popcorn still like in the bowl.
It like spills everywhere as Kyra and Cheryl are just like screaming.
What happens to Miss Queso?
In Miss Queso's, Janet's all like, oh, I guess they're not sick. After the messenger guy says, oh, those are the sick dudes.
Yep.
And Rigby's, what's Chris doing?
Chris is very upset that Kenan lied to him.
Yeah. So we end the episode with Kenan and Kel, the camera zoomed on their face, being broadcast everywhere.
Yep.
With their message to the world.
Everybody should go to school. School.
Always go to school.
School is cool.
Stay in school.
And
they apologize to everyone.
They're just like, sorry, Mom and Dad and Kyra and Chris and
Miss Queso. They're like in tears. And yep, that's the end of the show.
Really, really awesome escalation. Really good.
Incredible.
Really good escalation. Really just well-rounded episode.
It's the most simultaneous trouble they've ever gotten into.
Oh yeah,
I'd say.
and it was very low stakes too. But it was like they made it high stakes because of their foolishness.
Yeah, it's like if in the Cold War, if like landing the plane also affected like Chris and like their school stuff. But,
Right.
Yeah, so it's good season 2 is what I'm getting at.
I agree.
So they arrive out on stage in nearly the same outfits.
Basically,
Kel says that was a close call.
yep. And he's like, yeah, well, we pretty much lied to our teacher and to Chris and to our parents, and we kind of had to like account for our actions. You know, how was that like?
How's that close?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kel takes out reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out a big stack of money.
Yep. He starts counting it, and he says he got it from the bank.
Yeah. To which he wants to return it, but Kenan has some ideas about how to turn this money into more money before handing it back.
Yep. And so he kind of takes the money from Kel and starts walking away. And
this is a great Kel end cap too, because it's very meta in a sense. Because Kel's really upset with Kenan, and he says, "I'm putting my foot down." He's like, "No more. I've had enough." And it's like it's the perfect compliment to the beginning of the episode where he got a contract.
right.
But unfortunately, Kel crumbles. And he says, "Who am I kidding? Oh, here it goes."
Oh, here it goes. Might I say, Kel on these intros and outros especially, but I think during the episode too, he's kind of definitely got some Eddie Murphy in him. I think that he's definitely taken some inspiration from Eddie Murphy, just his delivery and his style and his like voices and.
I could see that. Eddie Murphy was big during this time too.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, that's the show. Oh man, what a classic episode.
What a classic episode. Yeah, I remembered it while I was watching it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Aaron, whose fault do you think this episode was? Kenan's or Kel's?
Kenan's. 100%.
Kel made things worse in the bank, but it's like the situation was Kenan's fault.
Yeah, he was ready to go in front of the class and sing and dance. He's much more confident in himself.
To be fair, he didn't have the Rigby's job to do.
Why doesn't he have a job at Rigby's? Like, why doesn't Chris just hire him? Like, I don't understand what the dynamic is there.
We've literally seen him bag every grocery in like 11 minutes, right?
Right.
Yeah, so inventory day should be cake to Kel. Just hire him for a day.
Nope.
No. So, I think, I'm with you. All Kenan's fault.
Yeah, I mean, Kel, I feel like, here's a little deeper layer here. Going up in front of the class, especially in Spanish class, a language you don't know, right? And singing a song and dancing, that could be kind of embarrassing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Kel was totally fine with that, unfazed. But Kenan seemed very insecure about it. He doesn't want to put on this show and show other people that something that he's not good at. So he's trying to hide himself. He's very much averse to. He wants to be famous, but he's averse to doing things that he's uncomfortable with.
Yeah, I would describe their kind of classroom personalities as Kel's definitely like a class clown. Right, he doesn't mind hopping up in front of everyone and making a big make everyone laugh.
Yeah.
Kenan, on the meanwhile, is kind of like the class comic, who's like a little more quiet, funny guy, but he keeps to himself. He's not going to be on stage like that.
Although I do think class clowns usually are trying to compensate for some lack in their life, and so that's why they usually they're not actually that good at math, and so they try to make people laugh. And that's kind of like the class clown archetype. I don't know if that's Kel as much. I think Kel just is goofy in general.
Yeah, if Kel lacks anything, it's kind of some intelligence.
But he doesn't seem to mind about that.
No, that's the nice thing about lacking intelligence. You don't care if it's gone. There's a couple side notes I have about this episode that I think are really interesting. Oh, well, first off, written by our dream duo, Kevin Koppel and Heath Seifert.
I didn't even have to look.
Yeah, you can smell it on them. And directed by Kim Fields, like a winning one of the best directors coming forward out of the bunch. here. So the other thing that I want to note is that this reminded me of another episode. So it's not a super crazy fresh premise. Playing hooky, run into trouble, and so forth, right?
Nope.
I was reminded of the Hey Arnold episode, Hooky, where Arnold and Gerald basically decide to skip school one day, and they go to a bunch of, like, try to do a bunch of fun activities, but everywhere they go, they, like, almost get recognized, and, like, you know, they go to a baseball game, they're, like, on the big screen and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So they're so paranoid about getting caught, they have a bad day.
Right. That's typically the theme of all of these kid shows.
Right.
People
the message
school.
can't be skipping school's awesome.
No.
So, but the interesting thing I saw about that episode of Hey Arnold, Hooky, is that it was aired, air dates, October 13th, 1997.
Ah.
Air date for Ditch Day Afternoon, October 18th, 1997. They aired in the same week.
Ah.
Isn't that crazy? It was like...
Was this like a national campaign to stop Ditch Day?
I don't know.
To stop Hooky?
I wonder if there's it was advertised as that. It's like, hey, it's Hooky Week on Nickelodeon.
Hooky Week Prevention, 1997. Let's look it up.
There's another there's another Hey Arnold connection later in the season that I'll bring up when we get to it.
Okay.
But I found that fascinating that Hey Arnold beat them to beat them to the punch by 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I guess Nickelodeon back then, Nickelodeon was like where kids went after school, right? Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't many video games, there wasn't many, there was after school stuff, but there wasn't like the stuff we have now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's pretty cool though. I do like how this macro theme of skipping school, right, is ties it's not a macro theme, it's a micro, but then it ties into the macro theme of shirking your responsibilities.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that it's a really good message, honestly, because it's like if you try to shirk your responsibilities, like if you just try to avoid things and take the easy way out, you're probably going to run into even more trouble than if you just did the thing.
Right, and it's a little different than the clown episode, for example, because the clown just is like a force of nature. He happens to them. It's not their fault.
Right.
But this one is very much Kenan's fault.
Self-inflicted, right?
Self-inflicted, yeah. And Kel, he's just along for the ride. He doesn't want to be there.
Kel was totally fine with doing his stuff, but yep. That's our analysis. Critical analysis of Ditch Day Afternoon.
Right. So let's wrap up then with the ratings. So Ditch Day Afternoon has a 7.6 on IMDb, and it's ranked 30 out of 62 in the series, which is kind of a high medium. I thought it was much higher. It deserves to be much higher on that list than halfway, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So what are your final thoughts on the episode? How many out of 10 bottles of orange soda, what would you give it?
Adam, I might change this later, but I didn't see anything wrong with this episode. I'm giving it a 10.
Yeah. You are in similar company. I'm also giving it a 10 out of 10.
It was so perfect. The pace was perfect. The jokes were funny. Everybody played to their strengths. Directing was good. Like it tied in the whole town. Every character was in it. Every character played a good role.
I think it's the most competent episode that we saw. That did the formula perfectly. I don't think other great episodes like this will incorporate these elements as well.
No, it hit everything. It was still within the time frame. It wasn't like a longer episode or anything.
Yeah, so that's our second perfect score that we've given an episode, and I'm sure you'll hear from it later in the our season recap.
The other perfect score was Merry Christmas,
Kenan,
which wasn't a perfect episode, but it had the perfect emotional sentiment.
Right. So it's like this one does the Kenan Kel formula probably the best of those two, right?
Definitely. It was ideal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so highly recommend if you can catch it on Amazon
you want to buy it. It's a good one.
The late night cable.
Is it still a thing? Nick at Night.
Nick at Night, yeah, I was going to say.
Right after George Lopez.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. You can join us next week for our as we keep going through season 2. That episode is called "Get the Kel Out of Here."
Yes, it's directed by our dream team, Kevin and Keith, but also Dan Schneider. Directed by Mary Schmidt.
Directed by Mary Schmidt, written by those 3. It's another great one from my memory. So season 2 continues to deliver. I think the average score is gonna blow away season 1 at the end here.
I think so.
I'm really interested to see how it stacks up against the others as well.
The other seasons?
Yeah.
Yep. Me too. It's gonna, there's only one place to find out, Adam, and it's right here. Until next time, Fantas. Aw, here it goes. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Kenan and Kel with Adam and Aaron. If you want to stay in touch, send us an email at KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a voice message at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. Our social media accounts are all at Kenan Kel Podcast. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks, everybody.